Jod Na Nawood was the breakout star of a skeleton crew. While excitement for Star Wars seems to be fading, this pirate proves there is still hope for great characters. And the reason behind it is simple. Let's dive into why he might be exactly what Star Wars needs right now.
Can you keep a secret?
When Jod was introduced at the end of episode 2, something felt off. He could use the Force, but didn't talk like a Jedi. He wanted to help the kids, yet acted like someone with their own agenda, and he clearly didn't care about droids. From the start, there was something fishy about him, and that's exactly what made him brilliant. Looking back, his betrayal seems obvious, but experiencing Skeleton Crew week by week was a different story. It wasn't until the second to last episode when he finally snapped at Wim, Fern, KB and Neil that I fully accepted his fate. And thanks to the excellent writing, that realization actually hurt.
Jabba, Jabba, Jabba. Honestly, it is unbearable.
Leave him alone!
All of you, not just him. All of you.
Like you have probably recognized yourself, the reason Jod was interesting was because you never knew where you had him. While he just seemed like a character with an empty shell trying to grab a quick score, he was actually extremely complex and, most importantly, unpredictable. 1 second his charm hypnotized everyone, the next someone told us that we shouldn't trust him, not to mention the many names that kept popping up.
Another fake name.
The best way to describe him is like a puzzle with a few missing pieces, and the writing played into that perfectly, never giving away too much and occasionally showing glimpses of a good heart. What made it work so well was that he wasn't just uncertain in the story. He was written as if he himself didn't fully know what he wanted to do, and in that uncertainty he mirrored the audience. We weren't just watching his struggle, we were experiencing it with him.
You can't fight us, we're just kids!
A big part of this came from the children. You could see how much he wrestled with the idea of harming them, and that hesitation became a defining trait. They, along with his Jedi past, served as the good in him, pulling him towards something better. On the other side, the pirates embodied his worst impulses: greed, anger, and a life without a real purpose. And that's what made his character so compelling. It wasn't just his journey, it was ours too. We weren't just observing his choices, we were right there with him, feeling the weight of every decision.
You never quite know whether he's trustworthy, whether he isn't trustworthy, whether he's with one side or another. You never quite know.
At the same time, it's impossible to ignore the phenomenal performance behind the character. Played by the great Jude Law, he didn't just act, he carried the entire series. It's hard to imagine Jod having the same level of charisma in the hands of anyone else, and that raises an interesting question. How much of this character's impact comes from the writing, and how much is purely the actor's presence? Maybe it's a question without a real answer, but it's worth thinking about, especially for a character so reliant on personal charm, because that's exactly what Jude Law brought to the role: effortless, undeniable charisma.
A harmless little knife. Stripped. But fair.
I think there is a relevant parallel to be drawn between Jod Na Nawood and Balen Skoll. Both characters brought to life by actors with a unique, almost intangible aura. Their presence wasn't just about performance, it was something deeper, something that felt entirely their own. With the tragic passing of Ray Stevenson, who played Balen in Ahsoka, we're about to see firsthand what happens when a character so closely tied to an actor is recast. It's very hard to put into words how a written character can evoke such a special feel, but with Jod, just like Balen, that feeling was present, undeniable, and powerful.
You have vision. Embrace it.
Stories of this galaxy are considered folk tales. Some ancient past, long forgotten.
While Jod Na Nawood is a fresh and creative character, there are so many missed opportunities that I honestly can't understand why they didn't explore further. For starters, his background is incredibly rich, taken in by a Jedi as a child, witnessing Order 66 and enduring all the emotional torment that comes with it. These elements are hinted at throughout the series, and Jod gives a brief explanation in the finale, but come on, this was a gold mine for deeper storytelling. I get that flashbacks to Order 66 have been done a lot, and I'm not saying that they had to go that route, but there were so many other angles. His family, how he ended up completely alone, the long-term consequences of his past. Instead, we're left piecing it all together ourselves, and it feels like a missed chance to truly understand him, and frankly, to be a little bit harsh, lazy writing.
When I was your age, all I cared about was not starving. I was living in a hole in the ground, and a Jedi found me.
For a character like Jod, relatability is key, and therefore this type of writing is important. It's not enough for the audience to know he's had a difficult past. We have to feel it. Just like we experienced his internal struggle between greed and kindness, we should have experienced the weight of his history as well. Waiting until the finale to drop all of this information actually hurt his character. The intent was likely to keep the mystery, but I don't think giving him more depth and a stronger connection to his struggles would have taken away from that. If anything, it would have made his journey even more compelling. Perhaps if the final episode would have provided more answers, my perception of this character might have been different. Unfortunately, we're left without a resolution, apology, or explanation between him and the kids. After watching the relationship develop throughout the whole story, it's disappointing, especially the final interaction between Wim and Jod, because you could really feel that there was a connection there, which makes the lack of closure even more frustrating.
God!
But if we set aside what could have been and focus on what we got, Jod Na Nawood is a perfect example of how to write an interesting character. He brings a fresh and unique take on a Star Wars villain/anti-hero, drawing inspiration from Maul's in Rebels, Hondo in Clone Wars, and even the way we first perceived Han Solo in A New Hope. But honestly, this might be the best balance between good and evil we have seen. I'd love to see Star Wars continue crafting characters like this, and it gives me hope for the future of the franchise. No doubt Jod will be remembered as one of the most unique characters of the Disney era, and speaking of unforgettable characters, let's talk about another fan favorite who stole the show in Rogue One. Click here to check out my analysis of Chirrut Imwe from a perspective no one's explored before. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I wish you a fantastic day.